Thus agreed, together they lifted the man. He was very light, like a fowl that had been half starved for a long time, until it is only feathers and skeleton. So now they agreed to take him to the house. And so they both lifted the man. He was very light, his weight was very less, like a fowl. The author compares his weight to the weight of a fowl, a hen, which has been half starved, which has not been fed properly for a long time, and because of which it has no flesh, only feathers and skeleton. And the weight of feathers and skeleton is very less, same as the weight of this man. So his arms hanging, they carried him up the steps and into the side door of the house. So they carried him up the steps and then into the side door of the house. This door opened into a passage, and down the passage they carried the man towards an empty bedroom. So this door opened into a passage, and down the passage there was an empty bedroom. It had been the bedroom of Sadau's father. This bedroom was of Sadau's father's bedroom, and since his death it had not been used. Since his death no one had used this bedroom. They laid the man on the deeply matted floor. Everything here had been Japanese, to please the old man, who would never in his own house sit on a chair or sleep in a foreign bed. So Sadau's father, who was a very conservative Japanese, he would never have a chair or a foreign bed in his room. Only there was deeply matted floor. He was a very conservative person, believed in only the Japanese ways. Hana went to the wall cupboards and slid back a door and took out a soft quilt. She went to the wall and she opened a cupboard and took out a soft quilt. She hesitated. She thought for some moments. The quilt was covered with flowered silk and the lining was pure white silk. Now the quilt was very light colored with flowers on it, and it had a lining of pure white silk. And the man was very dirty. She was about to put the quilt on the man. "He is so dirty," she murmured in distress. So sadly, with pain, she said, "He is so dirty. Her quilt would get dirty." "Yes, he had better be washed," Sadao agreed. "If you will fetch hot water, I will wash him." He said that yes, he is dirty. He needs to be washed. You get me hot water so that I can wash him. "I cannot bear for you to touch him," she said. "We shall have to tell the servants he is here. I will tell Yumi now. She can leave the children for a few minutes and she can wash him." The thought of Sadao washing this dirty American soldier was very repulsive for Hana. So she said that she could not bear the thought of him touching this man, and as it is, the servants had to be told. So she would tell Yumi, her servant, babysitter, to leave the children for some time and she should wash the man. Sadao considered a moment. He thought for a moment. "Let it be so," he agreed. He said, "Let it be so." He agreed. "You tell Yumi and I will tell the others." You tell Yumi, the babysitter, the girl who used to take care of the children, and I will tell the other servants. But the utter pallor of the man's unconscious face moved him first to stoop and feel his pulse. But the utter extreme paleness of the unconscious man made him bend and feel his pulse. He wanted to make sure that the man was alive. It was faint, the pulse was very faint, but it was there. He was alive. He put his hand against the man's cold breast. The heart too was yet alive. So to confirm, he put his hand over the man's heart and felt his heartbeat. He was alive. "He will die unless he is operated on." He said that unless and until he is operated upon soon, he would die, Sadao said, considering. The question is whether he will not die anyway. So the question was whether he would not die anyway, because the condition of the man was really bad. Hannah cried out in fear, "Don't try to save him. What if he should live?" Now Hannah was very afraid. She did not want this American man to stay alive, because if he stayed alive, they'll have to hand him over to the police. And obviously, he would be tortured, he would be treated as an enemy soldier, which was quite frightening for her. So she said, "Don't try to save him. What if he lived? What if he should die?" Sada replied. He stood gazing down on the motionless man. Now, being a doctor, he could not let anyone die who was in his care, if he could help it. This man must have extraordinary vitality, or he would have been dead by now. The doctor said that this man is extraordinarily strong. He was young, because had he not been so, he would have died because of so much bleeding and the wound and all that he had suffered. But then he was very young, perhaps not yet 25. The man was very young. He was less than 25. He was not even 25 years old. "You mean die from the operation?" Hannah asked. "Yes," Sadao said. Now, if a patient dies, it is the doctor who fails. So, the doctor did not want him to die because of the operation. He wanted to save him. Yes, Hannah considered this doubtfully, and when she did not answer, Sadao turned away. Now, Hannah was thinking about this, what her husband had said, and Sadao turned away. At any rate, something must be done with him. At any cost, something had to be done with him, he said, and first he must be washed. He went quickly out of the room, and Hannah came behind him. Hannah also followed him. She did not wish to be left alone with the white man. Instinctively, she moved behind her husband, not wanting to stay with the American in the same room. He was the first she had seen since she left America, and now he seemed to have nothing to do with those whom she had known there. She had known some American people in America also, but after leaving America, this was the first American she had come across, and this man had nothing to do with those whom she knew there. Here he was her enemy. Now this man was her enemy, a menace, living or dead. He was a menace, a danger, a trouble, whether he was living or dead. She turned to the nursery and called Yumi. She turned to the nursery where children were there, and she called for the servant Yumi.